guys, this is Wayne Santos, one of the editors over here at CGM, and this week's Sound Off is going to be the big E3 wrap-up. E3 happened last week, a lot of information came out, and the one thing that I hope everybody takes away from the 2014 proceedings is you guys really should learn to keep your expectations in check. I know that there were some people who, because Sony had announced that they were going to be doing their E3 press conference and streaming it to theaters, some people got excited about that and said this is going to be like the best press conference ever because it's got to be amazing if they're going to be putting it in a movie theater. But, you know, the reality is it wasn't that amazing. That's not to say that Sony's E3 press conference was terrible. It's just that it was a typical press conference, and at one point there was about 30 minutes where it started feeling a little bit slow because they started talking about TV and they started talking about PlayStation TV and, you know, it's like a bunch of other things that kind of took it away from the games. For those of you who think that, you know, it's like something that follows something else has to be better and better and better, I hope that this gives you, you know, it's like an important lesson about the way momentum works. It's like, you know, especially when you're doing something in the long haul, like E3, where, you know, it's like this has been going on for like years and years now, they can't each single one be better than the one that came before it. And E3 2014 is certainly a case in point. E3 2013 was obviously quite an important one because both Microsoft and Sony launched new hardware, and there were the usual megatons that came from that. You know, it's like Microsoft surprised everybody unpleasantly by, you know, it's like talking about some very user-unfriendly policies, and, you know, it's like Sony surprised everybody pleasantly by basically sucker punching Microsoft in the gut with their very user-friendly policies. So a lot of surprises came out of that E3. Everybody thought that it was a good punch-up, and some people, realistically or not, were expecting that E3 2014 was going to build off of that, and the hype train got underway and it got out of control, and that hype train obviously did not arrive at the station with a lot of happy people, because what we actually got was not a terrible E3, but a typical E3. It doesn't help that a lot of the games that were making appearances there were games that had already debuted at E3 2013 or even E3 2012 in some cases, like with Watch Dogs. So let this be a lesson to those of you that haven't been around the block as many times as some of us when it comes to E3. It's like E3 is there to, like, you know, tell people, you know, what's coming up in the next year or two. That doesn't mean that it's going to be this marketing onslaught that's just going to, like, you know, lay you out on your feet and have you going, wow, that was the best experience ever. In fact, this is probably the most important thing that you can carry away from E3. It's like when you hear anybody talking about anything and saying that something is the something ever, that person is probably riding the hype train, and that hype train is going to lead you to disappointment. It's very, very infrequent that something actually ends up becoming the best thing ever. So what you really should keep in mind is people say it's like, it's good, it has potential, there's some promise here. But anybody that goes around making, you know, steadfast, committed, declarative statements that this is going to be the best thing ever, you should probably take that with a healthy grain of salt. This year's E3 had a lot of interesting stuff. Some of it was promising, some of it was not. But if you go into it saying this is just a taste and the final arbiter is going to be your own experience when you finally sit down and play the game, then your E3 experience is probably going to be a lot more pleasant, a lot more realistic, and probably a lot less disappointing than somebody who is expecting the moon and stars. So, that was E3. It was not bad, but it was not amazing, and most E3s are going to be like that. You just keep your expectations in check, and this is going to be a better experience for everybody all around. So, see you later.